These faces have come to symbolize illegal migration to Russia. At least 600 Vietnamese workers were found last month at an illegal factory in Moscow. At an army-style camp, police was working around the clock to house them. It's crowded and hot. Still, said officials, it was better than the factory where the Vietnamese were found working as slaves. Slowly, unwanted visitors are being sent home. Most probably they or their families paid lots of money to middlemen who brought them into Russia. There are 24 illegal Vietnamese migrants in these buses, and after finishing last formalities, Russian authorities will deport them back to Vietnam. But there are hundreds more in the makeshift camp created a couple of weeks ago, and so clearly it will take weeks to deport all the Vietnamese. But the problem is even bigger than that. In the past years, there have been millions of migrants, illegal and otherwise, who have been coming to work in Russia. The flow has been hardly controlled, until suddenly, a couple of weeks ago, Russian authorities sprang into action. No wasting time with them, shouts the officer. There is no evidence of document checks when they are taken from the market. Detention centers around Moscow are swelling with inmates. And most Russians consider this tough approach perfectly normal. Let their countries worry about their conditions, this woman says. Let's get compensation from their states, said this man. They use our transport and our hospitals. But this one sounds more compassionate. These people, he says, are poor. We need to punish those who exploit them. Human rights activists are appalled by hundreds of detentions and the way courts rubber-stamp deportation orders. Activists see a clear connection between this anti-immigration drive and the upcoming elections in Moscow and the surrounding region.
Those foreigners will be kicked out, elections will happen, and then everything will go back to as it was before. The whole election campaign is built on anti-migrant sentiment. All candidates are using it, but the root of the problem has not changed. Russia needs migrant labor, but it must be managed properly.
The Vietnamese are being escorted onto the plane. They can't come back into Russia for the next 5 years. These tough methods are approved by the majority of Russians, but even they doubt that the government in Moscow is willing or capable to take full control of illegal migration. Oleg Boldyrev, BBC News, Moscow.